morning, good morning, or afternoon, depending on where you're coming in from. So let's see. Hi, Rana and Holly. I can see and hear you just fine. Great. Hi, Susan and Brenda. Susan and Patrick. We have multiple Susans. Brenda's from Virginia, New Jersey. How are you? I'm good. How are you today? Tennessee. We're going to pull a thought of the day to get started. It's feeling like summer. I said that earlier. I'll be on and off while working. Okay, that's fine. No problem. The Caribbean. Welcome, welcome. I bet it's beautiful there today. It's kind of beautiful everywhere now that it's summer, other than being hot. In Northern California, it gets hot. So it is 10 o'clock. Let's get started. Hi, Patricia from California. Good morning, good morning. I didn't say hi to you. I'm sorry. I like your tarot. Well, they're not tarot, actually. They're inspirational thoughts. So these are just like oracle cards. They're slightly different. So if you've never been to one of my workshops, at the beginning of every workshop, I pull a thought of the day. So this is the deck that I like to pull from. It's the Life Loves You deck. Sometimes I do something slightly different, but this is what we're going to do today. So I have all the cards, and I was shuffling them as I was saying, welcome. Hello from Canada. All right, so we're here from all over the world. I'm so excited that you're here. All right, so this is my very first Q's with Candus, and hopefully we enjoy it. And we'll start doing them once a month. That's my goal. All right, so let's see what we're meant to hear. So I always ask, what are we meant to hear today? And then I just pull a card. I never know what it's going to be. I can do it, trust. That's our card for today. And it says, in times of trouble, remember this, who you think you are cannot handle this challenge, but who you really are can and will. So in other words, when you doubt yourself, remember how truly amazing, powerful, and strong you are, and that you can do it, even in the challenging times. All right. So welcome to my Q's with Candus. I had asked on Facebook, I was like, hey guys, give me some ideas of names to call this, because as you probably know, I call my QuickBooks tips and tricks, right? Like I'm not super fancy with names. And I just decided, why go complicated? I'll just call it Q's with Candus. So I literally get, it depends on the day, but like lots of questions each day between my YouTube channel, people through Facebook, emailing us. Usually whenever I send out a tip, everybody starts emailing questions. And the reality is I just don't have enough time to go through and just answer everybody's questions, because I would be busy all day long just doing that, let alone helping my simplified community and Confidence with QuickBooks members. So I thought this would be an opportunity for all of my community to learn from the questions that I've been getting asked. So we have lots of questions. So you don't need to submit a question today. And we will create a way for you to submit questions in the future. But right now we have lots of them that we're going to go through to get started. And it might be the exact same question you have. Does that sound good? All right, so I invited Jonathan, part of my team. He's here. I don't know if you can see him, but he's going to ask me the questions, and then we're going to go through and we're going to answer them. And then I'll have you verify if the answer was clear or if you have any other questions. Sound good? All right, so we're going to get started. I did pull up my QuickBooks, and I'll share my screen so you can, hold on, that's something different. I thought I had my QuickBooks pulled up. It's right here. So he's going to ask a question, and then I'm going to answer it. So what was the first question that we decided? So the team went through and pulled like some common questions that we get asked. So we're just going to go with those to start with today.
Okay, Candace, so we have a few questions that are about the bank account. The first one comes from Chantel. She says, hi, Candace. I just had to close my bank account and open a new one with the same bank. When I downloaded the bank feed, it all combines into one register. I'm trying to do a bank reconciliation and am not able to. Can you help me?
Okay, so to condense the question, Chantel, right? That was the name?
Yep.
She had to close a bank account and open a new one at the same bank. And I get this question actually with credit cards, because sometimes you'll get a fraudulent charge or something will happen on your credit card, and you get a new credit card with the same company, but they give you a new credit card number. And often people think that they need to then like go in and create everything new. I actually have a YouTube video on this. or a tip and trick on this. The truth is, if you go under list chart of accounts, whether you're online or desktop, you can keep using your same credit card technically or bank account and just redo the number. So there's a two-part answer to her question. So let's just say you had a credit card with this company and you just rolled it into a new credit card number. You could have the old credit card last for and then add the new credit card number on the end and keep using it. Or you can make it inactive by right-clicking and make it inactive and add a new one. It just depends what you need. But typically, the only time we really create new credit cards is like you have a new company and you start a new credit card. And you like literally switch from one company to another or a different type of credit card, but not necessarily just a new credit card number with the same credit card. But as far as her bank account, there was two parts to her question. I got a new bank account, but I'm also downloading through the bank feed. That was the second part of the question that she's having a problem with. So if the bank feed is literally split between two, I would create a new bank account, is the easiest way to do it, and create the new bank. Then merge that bank feed. The other way you can do it is typically you can make your bank feed, when you have a bank feed and you go under edit, there'll be a separate tab. You can make that bank feed inactive and then reactivate it with the new, like link that new account if you want to keep one bank account moving forward. If it's it's a choice, right? Like there's not one way better than the other. You can either separate and have two accounts, or you can kind of merge them into one and then link it accordingly, whichever one is set up the same way your bank is doing it and the way you want to handle it moving forward. Does that make sense? Let me know. I am going to chat with you guys in the chat box a little bit just to make sure it's clear. How do you reactivate account in the chart of accounts? It's very easy. When you make something inactive, like so you would click here and you make it inactive, then down here where it says include inactive in the chart of accounts, you can just click on it and now it's active, or you can right click and make it active again as well. Either way. All right. I think that answered that question. What's the next question, Jonathan?
From Carolyn, she says, when I attempt to reconcile my bank account, my starting balance doesn't show up. Any suggestions?
Okay, so we literally get multiple questions a day just on reconciliations. So that's kind of a training in itself. What I will say is this: when you reconcile your bank account for the first time, like this is an example right here, I click reconcile. This bank account has never been reconciled and it has a zero balance and it has no date. So when you've already reconciled a bank account, let me get one here that's been reconciled, it will tell you like your last date reconciled. So the very first time you reconcile, it has a zero beginning balance because you haven't reconciled it yet. Once you reconcile it, the previous balance that you had, let me go to this one, will become your beginning balance, the ending balance from the previous month. But the very first time you reconcile it, it will be zero. That was the question, right? Yes. Okay, starting balance doesn't show up. Yeah, so that would be the very first time, there's nothing there. But once you reconcile, it will start showing up. That makes sense? Okay, go ahead. What's the next question?
So this next one, do you want me to read this whole question or just summarize it?
Summarize. So this question, I looked at the questions that time. So this question has to do with, it was a very long question. So if when we do start having you submit questions, don't give me an entire paragraph of your story. Give me a clear, concise question. It makes it so much easier. So the question is, somebody had a money market account and they moved it from the money market account to their bank account. Then they moved it from their bank account to another money market account. And she could not figure out how to do all that. So this is the tip for anything you're doing within QuickBooks. Make sure you're doing it in the exact same order that it originally happened. So recently I was working with a private client, and when they first started their business, they were doing everything in their personal account, and then they set up their business bank account. And they were trying to just like summarize it into the business bank account. But if you actually take it step by step, whenever you're doing your QuickBooks transactions, for example, you charge something on your credit card and then you paid for it out of your checking account, do it in that order. Don't try to just skip to the checking account side, okay? Because it makes things a lot easier. So if you had a money marketing account, you can use transfers if you want for this example, but you can go, I moved it from let's just say the checking from this person was a money market account. So they would have their money market account, and then they would move it from the money market account to their bank account. So we'll just say it's from one bank account to another. Okay. Then when you write it as, you can also do that as a deposit, just to be clear. So transfers or deposits, they all work the same way. It depends what you prefer in your mind. So if you prefer more detail, you can actually do a deposit, and it would come from, I'm just going to use a bank account for this example. Let's say it came from US Bank, and then the amount of money that came from there. But this would be the money market account. Then when you move it from your bank to the new money market account, and you are actually writing a check or you're doing an online transfer, that's totally up to you, but you would come from your bank, right? The vendor, which is the people and places you spend money, this would go to the money market account, right? I could type. It would actually be the name of the company you're using. And I'll just add this, quick add it. It'd be a vendor. And then let's just say it's 100 grand. And then here it would go to the money market account that you created new in the chart of accounts. Okay. And that's how you do it. Now, if you're like, I already wrote the check, then you just need to make sure that the check you're writing, that the account down here is your money market account. Does that make sense? It's pretty easy, actually. All right. Let me know if you have any other, if that made sense to you. Yes. Okay. I got a yes. That's good. What's the next question? Are you guys learning something? Are you getting value? I just want to know. Okay, go to the next question.
All right, so we have a few questions about credit cards coming from YouTube. First one's from Sarah. She goes, please help, bunch of exclamation marks. I enter credit card charges exactly how you say to, but when I run an unpaid bills by job report, the credit card charge shows as unpaid. How do I clear it so it shows as paid?
Okay, so just for clarity real quick, because I got distracted by people saying yes in the chat a little bit.
Yeah.
So she has a money market, she has not money market, that's last
She
one.
said she has credit card charges. And
okay, but I pay them with the business checking. And how do I make sure my credit card and QuickBooks, oh, right, that's the wrong one. That's the next one. I enter credit card charges.
Exactly how you say when I run an unpaid bills report.
Okay, so when you pay bills, so let's just clearly cover this. Because on YouTube, I don't actually know if I taught this particular technique, but you're going to enter your bills, right? That's accounts payable. And that's accrual basis. Remember the difference between cash and accrual basis. So cash basis is your reports are getting generated, your profit and loss, on the moment you pay. Accrual basis is at the moment you enter it. So remember that. So when you enter bills, that's accounts payable, which is accrual basis accounting. So you enter your bill, and then if you're using your credit card, you're going to, for a bill specifically, you're going to want to make sure you choose credit card down here so that it puts it in the credit card charges. Okay, so that's if you're using a bill, and that's a two-step process. If you don't need that much detail and you're using more cash basis, then you can just do credit card charges here directly. So she's saying, hey, why is it not showing up? Most likely what's not showing up is she either didn't pay the bill with the credit card down here and then choose the proper credit card. She might have entered a bill here and then like used enter charges. I'm not exactly sure without actually talking to her. That was, what was her name? Sarah. But Sarah, you want to do one or the other, and all of you. You want to, if you entered a bill, you want to pay it here. And you need to make sure that the date range of the report that you're pulling is also dated after you paid the credit card, right? So you have to make sure all these things are correct, that the date you say you paid it is correct. These are all the things I would think of to check. And then also make sure that, you didn't go up here and enter credit card charges here when you entered a bill. You need to follow the line, go from enter bill to pay bills, but then choose credit card at the bottom. Does that make sense? Hopefully that answered your questions. Yes, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Yep. Okay, lots of people learning something, so that's good. Okay, next question.
Kelly says, how or where do I enter a late fee for my credit card if I paid it late? Okay,
I get this question often, like multiple times every week. How do I enter late fees? How do I enter interest expense as well? So we'll cover both. So when you go under bank, you have two ways you can do it. So you can go here and enter it as a credit card charge. I'll show you that in a moment. Or you can go down here under reconcile, choose your credit card, and let's pick one we've done before. Let me turn my notifications on silence. So you can enter your finance charge right here. Now, finance charge is interest expense. It does not have late fees. So let's just say you had a $10 finance charge. On the date of your statement, you can use, or the date they charged it. And then interest expense or whatever, wherever you want, this account is where you're going to want it to show up on your profit and loss. Okay. And then this is if you have classes turned on, classes to show on your profit and loss. That's a whole different training in itself. Then you could pick one. You may not have this, and that's okay. You don't need it. I just have classes turned on because this is my sample QuickBooks file. Okay. The disadvantage to using this feature is that it does not set it up to a vendor. It just gets entered. I personally prefer, especially if you're downloading your credit card charges, to go under banking, enter credit card charges, and then you choose your credit card. Let's just say it's Capital One. You would add Capital One, the date that the late fee was charged, and then let's just say it was a $10, let's say it was like a $25 late fee. Then here, you would need to decide, how do you want this to show up on your profit and loss? I talk about this a lot in my Getting Started with QuickBooks workshop. When you're setting up your chart of accounts, that is how your profit and loss shows up. So you could have late fee if you want. This is income, but you'd want it as an expense, or you could enter it as bank service charges if you don't care that it's broke out separate on your profit and loss. Whenever you're setting these accounts up, it's how do you want to see it on your report? Does that make sense? So that's what I would do there. And then let's say that it was the $10. So I'd save and close that. Then I'd create a new one. And then it would be, say, $10. And that would be like interest expense. I like to do it through here because you can download your transactions. But then you always want to make sure you're using you add it to the vendor, which is the credit card company. Whatever your credit card company is, you pick the credit card at the top, then you add it as a vendor. Does that make sense? Okay, I think that answered the question. I like this because it's like, ting, 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 quick questions. Maybe I should have done quick questions with Candus. QQ.
Not long-winded.
Okay, if you don't know this about me, I have more of a managerial personality type. So when you get too long into your questions, my brain like kind of shuts down. I'm like, give it to me bullet point. I'm a very bullet point personality. That's my communication style. Okay, next.
Right.
Hey, you might as well get to know me while you're here, right?
So John asks, I entered a credit card payment I received from a client, but the deposit from the processing company is smaller due to the credit card fees. Now, when I reconcile my bank account, there's a difference that equals the amount of the credit card fee.
Yeah.
What's the proper way to record the fees so my bank reconciliation balances?
Great question. So this is all about merchants. Okay, so his question is, I receive the payment from my customer through a merchant provider credit card, right? And they charge a fee. And so you collect the full payment from your customer, and then you adjust for the merchant. And there's two ways to do this. I teach this in Confidence QuickBooks. It all depends on your business model. So as I say in my workshops, if you're using create invoices, it's because your customer pays you later. It's not an ideal place to check to do the merchant fees. So typically, if you're using create invoices, you're going to receive the full payment from your customer. So if your invoice was for $1,000, you would do a full payment for $1,000. Then it would sit in the undeposited funds, which I sent you guys out a tip and trick about the undeposited funds recently. Then you would record the deposit, and this is where I would take out the merchant fees. So let's just do an example. We'll say this right here. All these, okay, are sitting in the deposit funds, and now we're going to bring them into the checking account. And typically what I recommend here is you get a batch total, like these different payments are all together, and then they come in through the merchant. So this is why we love undeposited funds, because we wanted to sit there and match, like John asked, how do I make it match what goes on my reconciliation? The way to do that is to use undeposited funds and then summarize it. So what you could do here is, let's just say you use Stripe as your merchant. Then you have merchant fees as an expense. And then let's just say your merchant fee was $100 for convenience. You do minus $100, and then $33.88.90 would be what actually went to the bank. The bottom total is what went to the bank. Okay, that's one way to do it. This is typically, if you have like payments coming in different ways, or you use invoices, the best way to do it. You could do this if you're recording income directly as well. Remember, when you're recording your income, you need to record it for the full amount of the customer payment. And then the expense of the merchant fee is a business expense, and that needs to be taken out separately. You don't want to try to like mix it all together, because what will happen, especially with merchants, is they send you a special 1099. So last year, or earlier this year, actually, I sent a training about how if you pay people with credit cards, like through bills or whatever, you won't be able to send them a 1099. And that's because of the law that the merchant provider sends them the 1099, okay? So with that being said, you don't want to track on your profit and loss your net income. You want to track your gross before the merchant fee, because that's the 1099 they're going to send you, right? And they send it to the IRS, and if your number doesn't match what they sent, you're going to have a problem. So make sure you're doing that correctly, okay? The second way you can do it is if you're using a sales receipt, and say you're doing like a total for the day or per customer, let's say it's a daily sales, you could have that you sold books, and you sold, 10 books at $10 just for convenience. Not $1, $10. Okay, so that's $100. And then what you can create is you can create a merchant. Let me see what merchant I have in here. If I've created one. 1 second, let me look. Okay, merchant fee. So what I do is I set it up as a merchant fee. Let me show you how it looks as an item. Merchant fee. It's going to be another charge. Merchant fee is the item name. It's non-taxable usually. And then unless you're in Washington, which they charge tax for everything. One of my mastermind members for Commons QuickBooks, she's in Washington, and she's like, I charge my customers like the end fee so that I don't have to eat it, but she still has to charge sales tax. So we had to back in like, how can we add the sales tax so that they're helping cover that? Anyways, side note. But normally it's non-taxable. And then merchant fees is an expense. If you are in a state where you need to make it taxable, then you need to make sure it's taxable, okay? Remember, this account is where you want it to show up on your profit and loss. Okay? Now, we are not charging our customers this as income. We are just tracking our expense side of it, okay? So we aren't giving this to the customer. This is just us like tracking it. So this is like as if it happened on your website, it was totally done, and then now you're bringing it into QuickBooks. Okay, does that make sense? So let's just say it was like minus $30. So then the net that came into your bank account would be $70. You had $100 in sales for the day. This is like a daily summary. And then this is $30 fee, so $70. We save and close that. And technically you could put this directly to your bank if you only had that one for the day, or you can do it to undeposit funds and then you save and close it. Those are the two different ways that you can track it. Okay, hopefully that helps you guys. All right, I'm checking in. How you doing? Okay, so if you're posting your specific questions, I will probably not get to them today because I've actually already pre-decided what questions we're gonna do to keep this short and sweet. But I just wanna verify if what I'm saying makes sense or if there's anything that's not clear. All right, what's the next question?
From Azel, my boss just asked me to enter the credit card charges from January 2018 to date. My problem is, how will I go back and pay it since according to our bank statement, it was already paid as a lump sum? What I do is just enter the itemized bank statement and reconcile it. Now the business is taking a lot of expenses. He wants to track the credit card expenses.
Okay, so I know how to answer. Okay, so the question is, I've already, in the past, we already like paid the credit card and it's already all been entered, but now they want me to go back and enter each individual credit card expense, just really see where money was spent. How do I do that without duplicating it? So the first step would be enter the credit card charges. for the month, 1 month at a time. Don't try to do like everything at once. Typically, if you're going to download them from a credit card statement or enter them, enter 1 month, then reconcile, then enter the next month, then reconcile. So if she had already entered her payments, she would just need to go in and change them. So let me go look for, so I'm going to go into the vendor center and look up like a Capital One. So what you would do is you would open up the check where you paid them. And this is probably either broke out to expense categories. So what you would do is you would go in and you go edit and you delete the line and you would get rid of all of them. Then you come back in and you'd add Capital One and you would add $500 or whatever the original payment is. So what would happen is all the bank charges are there, but this, you're not deleting the check, you're just changing where the check is allocated to. Okay, does that make sense? Basically doing it properly. That will keep your bank reconciliation from changing. You can enter all the detail, but then you can also get the payments taken care of all at the same time. Okay, that's the answer. It's really not that hard. Then you want to just go in and reconcile the credit card as you go along. The bank account won't change, but you'll reconcile the credit card. Okay, what's the next question?
So this one is about the vendor center. Gina had a question about your YouTube video. She says, this is an informative video. I do have a question. Do I have
You always have more questions. I'm just kidding.
Do I have to make a bill if I can download credit card info online? Mm-hmm. If I have already made the payment online, do I put the date payment made and then I will be able to just reconcile that payment that was already made with an amount on my bank statement? Is that making sense?
Not totally makes sense, but I'll answer her question. Gina, right?
Yeah.
So Gina, step by step. I said this earlier in the training, but what you want to do is, she said something about entering bills, right? Make a bill. Okay, so you don't need to enter so her question was, if I'm downloading my credit cards, do I need to enter a bill? No. What you do is you enter your credit card charges, and then when you pay the credit card, you just go into write checks or the check register and choose your credit card, as I was showing earlier, and the amount you paid, and then you pay it back to the credit card, okay? Because you've already entered the charges when you downloaded them. So you don't need to enter a bill again. I find that so credit cards are what's considered cash basis. At the moment you charge your credit card, it's a business expense. That is why I like to use enter credit card charges. When you enter a bill and you say, okay, I'm going to enter a bill because I want it to be on accounts payable, this is where people get problems. And people ask me questions about this all the time. So what happens is when you enter a credit card bill and then you enter it here, but let's just say your bill is for $2,000. What this does in QuickBooks is it moves it from a credit card, a liability, to accounts payable. So it makes it look like you've paid your credit card, even though maybe you actually only paid $500. So I don't typically recommend using enter bills when it comes to credit cards because it really messes people up unless you really understand how to do it properly, which would be, let's say that the credit card bill for the month was $2,000, but you only pay $500. The way to fix it is to come in and manually change the bill to the amount you actually paid. And then you could use that feature. But I find that it messes more people up than fixes it. So I typically don't recommend it. Hopefully that answers your question. You do not need to enter a bill if you're using credit card charges. What you would do is just apply the payment when you actually pay it. Make sure you're reconciling your credit card every month because it's the only way to know you entered everything in properly. And then you'll know that you didn't mess up on the difference between like charges and payments. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat. Okay, what's the next question?
So this looks like our last question from Susan. She's in Wisconsin, and she says, if you pay a payroll liability online through the government, how do you get it into QuickBooks without writing a check? QuickBooks does not accept Wisconsin unemployment EFT.
Okay, so I think that Susan is part of the year-end forms course. I have a quarterly and year-end forms course that walks you through how to make payments. And this is actually in there for Susan. But what you would do is you would manually pay it. So anytime, so my assumption is, and this is the answer, if you are processing the payroll through QuickBooks and Wisconsin is allowing you to take unemployment out, it's just not automating the system for EFT. What you would do is you would just click on pay liabilities. Oh, I can't show this in this sample file, but pay liabilities, it's in the course. And then you would click pay liability payments, choose that one and just pay it. I wish I could show it to her. You know what? Let me stop sharing for one quick second. I'm going to go into a different QuickBooks file, a different sample file that I have. Give me 1 minute. Did you guys have fun today? Did you learn something? I'd like to keep these to like a 30-minute training. Let me know if you learned something. We have lots of questions left. Not today, but another day. How many did we end up doing today? Like 8?
9 of them.
9. Okay, good. We're right at the 30-minute marker. I know you guys have other things to do, so I want to keep it short and sweet. But I want to show you how to do this one thing that she was asking. Give me a quick second here. Oh, of course, QuickBooks wants to update this. 1 second. Okay, let me share my screen again. Give me 1 second here. Okay, share. Okay, so you are, it wanted me to update it. So you're here, and if you click pay liabilities, and then you come up here, this has like a little sample training that I did. You can pay it from here, but this is the really cool thing a lot of people don't know. This is in the year-end forms course. So I teach in that, it's a small course that teaches you how to process your payroll, taxes, and then how to do your quarterly forms and your year-end forms. So if you need help with that, you can go to the website, CandusCampfer.com, and you'll find year-end and quarterly forms course. I have one for the desktop version, one for online. But what you would do is create a custom payment right here. Pick your time frame that it's for, and then you would literally just like, let's say it's unemployment. That's what she said, but Wisconsin unemployment. The amount you paid, and then you just click create. And it's that simple. If you can't pay it, I teach both in the course, how to pay it through electronically, how to go to the websites, and then also how to manually pay it like this. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly come back and see and stop sharing for a second. See what you're saying. Love the tips and tricks. Yeah. Was everything that we taught today clear? Did you have any questions about the questions we answered? Let me know. I want to just go back in case there's any questions to Compass QuickBooks training file. If you are never come to my Getting Started with QuickBooks workshop and you are wanting to come, I actually have one that I'm doing tomorrow. Let me show you how to get there. Hold on, let me share my screen real fast. So if you go to CandusCampfer.com/workshop, it's that easy. You can join me tomorrow. I have a training tomorrow at 10 a.m. about getting started with QuickBooks. So it's not something I do all the time. I have them sometimes and not others. So if you'd like to come, feel free to register. Yeah, she said, thank you. You're welcome. So thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting me. I will send out, this was great. Oh, yay. It was like just quick tips, quick questions. We have lots of them left, and then we'll open up space for you guys to start submitting some. Would you like that? Let me know in the chat. I have missed some questions. How do I watch it again? I will send it out for tomorrow's QuickBooks tips and tricks, I thought. I'll send it out as a replay. Thank you. You're welcome. Yes, yes. Okay. So I will see you soon. Thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting me. Oh, I always like to end my workshop with 2 things. Hey, Corinne. It's nice to see you. This is our card for today. I can do it. Trust. This is about you trusting yourself. In times of trouble, remember this. Who you think you are cannot handle this challenge, but who you really are can and will. Great workshop. Yeah, I'm glad you guys liked it. Be patient with yourself in the process of learning QuickBooks. You've probably heard me say this before, but if not, be kind to yourself. It takes time. I have been teaching QuickBooks. I think we're going to be going on 13 years pretty soon. Yeah, 2006. Does that make it 13 years this year, right? Okay, can I just say a side note real quick? So the other day, we went on a little family vacation. We did a houseboat trip, and I look out as we're leaving like the dock, and there's this kid smoking, and I go, he doesn't even look old enough to smoke. And then we all started laughing about how as you get older, everybody else seems to look younger. Would you agree? Have you felt that already? Or like you look over and there's some kid driving a car and you're like, is he even 16 yet? Okay, just a side note. Some days I feel like, where is time going? I can't believe it's already been 13 years. The point to that is, originally, I digressed, but be patient with yourself. I've been doing QuickBooks for some time, and truth be told, I tell my husband all the time, like, there's so many things I still don't know about QuickBooks. And he goes, that's when you know you're starting to, they say you just know you're starting to master something, when you realize how much you still have to learn. So be patient with yourself, be kind with yourself. I am going to give you back your energy, attention, and focus for being here today so that you can go on with your day. And I'm going to take back my energy, attention, and focus. And I will see you soon. Join me next month. And if you'd like to join my Getting Started workshop, make sure you register to get all the details. And if you are, I'll see you tomorrow. Have an amazing day. Bye. Thanks for being here. Oh, and thanks, Jonathan, for doing our Q&A.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. See you guys soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.